Hello guys, this is Christian and you are welcome back to the todoapp channel. If you haven't joined this community yet, then smash on the subscribe button and join this community. So in our last tutorial, we were able to create our schema and we were able to connect our backend server to our database, which is MongoDB. So what you are going to be dealing with next on this tutorial is the front end. So we are going to create our HTML templates and we're also going to add our CSS files. So let's jump into it. Alright guys, so let's continue. So in our last tutorials we were able to create two models, which is the item model and then the list model. So what you are going to use the item model for is you are going to use it to create our item. So we created 3 items. And what you are going to use our list model for is you are going to use it to create our days. For now, let's go to our index.ejs. Here I want us to first create a div with a class box, and inside it let's give h1 tag and let's type in list title. And then down below I want us to create another div with a class box. Inside it let's create our form. Inside our form I want us to create another div with a class item. Inside it I want us to create an input, and this input is going to be a check box. Then the name I want us to give it checkbox. So now let's type on change and then this dot form dot submit. Let's call this function. We are not going to use the id, so I will delete this one. And then down below I want us to use our p tag, and let's type item name here. And down below I want us to use our input, which is going to be a hidden. And then the name is going to be a list name. And let's come down. So below the first form let's create another form, and inside this form I want us to create an input, which is going to be a text, right? And then let's give it a name of new item. Let's give it a placeholder of new item. Down below let's create a button. The type is going to be submit, and let's give it a plus here. With this form I want us to give it a class of item, and then the first div we created I want us to give it an id of heading, right? And then our second form, the input here, I want us to set the autocomplete to off. So we are done creating our HTML template. Quickly I want us to go to our working directory here. Just click here and then click on the icon here which says new folder. Let's create another folder called public. So inside this public we are going to create our CSS files, right? Click on it. Once this arrow points down it means it's open. Then we can click on this one and type styles.css and press enter. So this is where we are going to place all our CSS files. This tutorial is actually not a CSS tutorial, so I'm not going to type everything from scratch with you. I will leave the link down below. You can visit my GitHub page and copy the CSS file. So I'll go to my desktop I have the CSS file here. I'll copy and now come and paste it here and save it by pressing Ctrl S to save my CSS files. So now we have to do some configuration inside our app.ejs before our server will be able to recognize CSS files. So down below where we use our body partial, let's set our static file to public with the help of express. So express.static, and then inside it we are going to set it to public. So we are telling our server that within this public file we have a CSS inside, right? So now let's go to our header.ejs file and link our CSS to our template. So link styles.css, which is the name of the file we stored our CSS inside, right? So now let's save it. But before we run our server, I want us to correct something here. So we are not supposed to pass the default items here, but rather the item schema. So we are going to pass the item schema here. Let's save it. Now let's open our terminal. Once our terminal opens, let's type nodemon app to run our server. So our app is running on port 3000. So let's go to our web browser. Let's type localhost port 3000 and press enter. Alright, so this is what we are getting now. For now it doesn't look nice, but whilst we are going, we'll be making some few changes here and it will start looking good. So we are done creating the front-end template. In our next tutorial, we are going to pass in some data from our server to our front end. If you haven't joined this community, then click on the subscribe button and join this community.